little bit. They're talking about this on because I was like, so great.
Hi everyone, welcome to Malvern today on this rainy Sunday. Hope you're all cozy and happy to be here. I'm happy to be here, and this is going to be a really amazing event. We have three fantastic poets here today. Our first poet is Leslie Contreras Schwartz, is a multi-genre writer whose latest collection of poems, Nightbloom Cenote, out by St. Julian Press, released in 2018, was released in May. Her work has recently appeared in Verse Daily, Rude Agent, The Collagist, Catapult, The Texas Review, and Tinderbox Poetry Journal, among others. Please welcome Leslie.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here with Ire'ne and Natalia. I'll just launch into reading. I'll read a couple of poems from the new book, Nightbloom Cenote, which is mainly about growing up with legacies or inheritance. Some involving trauma or involving, the way that women are expected to behave, or in particular, my family. So I'll read a couple of those poems. I'll start with a very ungranddaughterly poem. There's a lot of rage in this book. After her death, we find thousands of dollars in my grandmother's curtains. After her death, thousands of dollars floated out from the curtains, pouring out like dust. A sky of bills burgeoning into men's faces floated down to my mother. Moths that stayed hidden in the same coat, same sleeve. $10,000. Now paper planes sent from a child to another child. A secret, hidden from the nuns with their tight and coiled buns. Money hidden in closets, in pillowcases, crisp with the smell of receipts. Mothballs waiting for my grandmother's death to be spent. $20 for making a wedding dress in 1952. Bills forgotten from a Social Security check cashed in 1971. My grandmother's hands held a belt deftly, as if she knew how to beat a horse so that it was broken, then ride it until it forgot it was a horse. Most of the time in the kitchen, spilling a fistful of lard into a black cast iron pan. Watching beans, chicken, rice, boil and boil, then calling the men to come eat. At the funeral, my mother clutched night-blooming jasmine in her hand, its leaden perfume that drowns out stars and the oak tree's clutch of soil, heavy blanket of sickened sweet. When the night opens, full of that expanse of dark, and then is usurped by that tiny clutch of white petals. I have made her memory into wings. I have shaken them from my own coat. Isn't that what we do? Take what dark things our parents and grandparents held tenderly, shuck them off. Lay our hands in the dirt to remove the smell. Scentless now, stock still, her body half hidden by the coffin in its decor of anemic white lilies, carnations, larkspurs, gerbera daisies, roses, patient in its waiting to be tossed in the waste heap. The trick of her body, that belied warmth, sweating its leftover tears. Her head allowed to rest on a cradle of white pillows. And the crucifix wrapped securely around her wrist, not once, but 3 times. The Gothic Christmas scene in her foyer, animals of every fang and hoof, giraffes and elephants and pigs 23 ducks swarming the baby, an animal longing. The white baby Jesus resting in his radiant humanness. The worms are going to eat me, she'd like to say to me as a child, hoping to force love out of me. And into her heavy breast I tuck a smile. Please let it be, to make my mom stop crying when we leave your house. At 3, at 5, 7, and then 30, standing in the hallway of the hospital, as my mom sat with her to be scolded one last time before she died. Her body, the area where her legs belonged, sunken as if dripping off the edges of the hospital bed, her torso in its stiff holding up of the sheets, like it didn't want to be touched. ¿Por qué nunca me ves? I'm trash to you, you throw me away, just like I found your mother thrown away in a dumpster. You know I found her in a trash bag. At 90 years old, her eyes watery and brimmed with bruises of years she turned away from. The eyes that hated the fat or the bony or the beady-eyed and the whorish in every girl, tried to smother them in a bathtub's reflective sheen of water. Then stared, listening to her own chest crackle open when her daughter told her how he pulled her into the closet, unzipped his pants, and she does nothing. Then sees her granddaughter reading a book and says it's a way to store men in her closet, to be a whore, learning new ways to be a whore, to stash men like shoes or money, letting yarn unravel long and long from her lap. Ask, how pretty is your Lita? Now my mother reaches for a bill, another bill, one for each time she was orphaned. First by her teenage birth mother, then her adopted father that died young. Kept by a woman who raised her to be a nun and a caregiver, locked her in a box of God, Hail Marys and fists and belts, and the devil with his roaming hands. Dear mother, everything can be mourned, even this. These men's faces laying their eyes on, laying their animal eyes of forest green and moss on us. I want to spend it, this pile of black blank wings called morning, a bird that saves flight until it's about to die. Pecks and pecks and pecks that worm, a hunger that grows wild, clutching its tiny white pearls. I wish, mother, that for one moment, 1 minute, your mother had loved you. Now let's spin this dough like crazy. Let's see. I have a lot of topics in this book, including illness, living through chronic illness, and being a mother. So one thing I address in this book is I have 3 kids, and the reality of being a mother when you're not quite sure what that looks like, but you know that it looks something very different than what your mother was and her mother was. Tinder. A child, my mother showed me the small closet of herself. She stood there, child thin, in a shift dress, her blade of tenderness, the pain of a blow that made everything more colored, her black-winged bangs, a blur of hands, pink crush that could take the wind out and fill me with broken things. This would take me to the winter night of a school parking lot, where I was led to the shadow of a lamplight post, the emptied classroom, windows darkened from the want of children, ghost faces seeking the same tenderness. The cold flesh like a living thing, a child's body folded inside that living thing, and my tender knees the gravel that pierces them to remind them how easy they cut. The other working in his cutting as if he sought to be buried beneath my 15 years, the careful carving. This is the kindness I have carried inside like a birdhouse in its flurry of wings, not even separate beatings of hundreds of birds, but a thunderous single pulse that has found me now, holding my newborn daughter in faintly lit dawn. Her hair like singed down between my fingers. What can I find here? Draw tenderness out of a cracked well. Imagine the stillness of water in its silvery and solid room. Yes, once my father brushed my hair until the curls separated and frizzed. Its tangled rise beneath his dark hands, comfort in the browned veins, when he held me against his ribs as wind cleaned the city around us. When he came home at dusk, I'd wait for the night when he turned the pages to my book, careful that I could see every page. I rock her in my arms, hum a tune with no melody, my throat warming up to match her small cry, a turn for a turn, enough to last the hour I rock her, its gentle tick and hurt. So I have a new manuscript, so how am I doing on time? Okay, I have a new manuscript, mainly of persona poems written, I'm from Houston, so unfortunately we are the hub of sex trafficking, so a lot of it is based on the research I've done about how pervasive sex trafficking is in our city and how it's basically within, you know, you can go down any area and anytime you see a massage parlor, the likeliness of it being a place where women are trafficked is very high. And for whatever reason, they're very difficult to shut down. So I've done a lot of research from the perspective of the women and girls living in these conditions and what happens afterwards. I also have a couple of poems from the perspective of children in detainment, among other things, but I'll read one. This poem was my answer to the question, where are the children? After news came out that the Department of Health and Human Services lost 1,500 undocumented children, with advocates concerned many were released to human traffickers. I tried to imagine the life in one instance of a person living in a trafficking situation and how oftentimes the things that help these girls and women survive is what helps a lot of people survive trauma, and its connections with each other. Unidentified missing minors without photos. Not Laura, not Emmanuel, not Luisa, not Moni, Christina, Julissa, ni Juan. No hay nadie aquí. Nadie quiere. Just me. One man, say his name's Sonny, asked to take me to his trota. I go, tell me where I could leave, be free now. But where go? Nadie para saber, y no sé where I go. I go back inside, take the money to place I know was not Laura, Emmanuel, Luisa, Moni, Cristina, y Luisa, y Juan, no more, but did. Música a todo volume, push my thought, plus pill. I pretend I dance, I drink beer, I pretend. They still hear, a hand to my back. I pretend this man, and next. That I not think why I live and not them. Those are names of children who are missing in Texas. And I'll read one more poem. Is that good? I have no concept of time when I'm reading. Let's see. So I do try to address really difficult voices in this topic, including the people, the pimps and their helpers. And oftentimes their helpers are other victims who are no longer being used for sex, but they have no alternative ways to make income, so they get trapped. Ego state in a glass bottle. What choice did I have but to hide in there? To learn the value of hiding, to hide mind in wall or grin of light, cast against the wall, a spot in a sunbeam, a cornered glow. I learned this for the same reason an animal chews off her hand, to free herself from the clapped hands of a trap, or a mother of 5 drowns her children because she believes the demon will eat them while she sleeps. What seems monstrous to you? That I lost curb appeal long ago after only a year of being on the roll? Or that I handpick the girls now, hot house roses just waving from rich lawns? The world is the monstrous thing. I have no say in what flips my switch to either flee or emerge resplendent in battle gear, ready to impale any person or thing that dares look at me or say no to me. Now in this glass house, half full of tepid water, I saved it for myself. I saved myself in so many objects. Streetlight hum, rattling freight trucks rolling past warehouses, high school band, drums and trombones, setting a beat where I can lay my pulse, every stupid vein. If I leave in a handbasket, no good whore like Mama always said I would, let my basket be covered in satin ribbon, glitter, jingling with coins and covered in crisp bills. I didn't make the rules. I just live here. See this Dos Equis thrown sideways, lying here out back where Big Daddy left it unbroken. I'm there, and I leave me there. Go keep these girls in check with my basket ringing its damn bells. Don't fault me. I had to scratch to get by. I had to claw without nails. I had to beg Big Daddy to let me live. So he did. Now I'm here, a glint in a bottle, long gone from this place or any other. Don't blame me for the girls, busted blue or dying behind this fence. I'm a hook and a chink in this chain. And didn't I already tell you? I've been gone. Thank you.